Welcome everybody to another episode of Candid Convos. Today's guest is Pankaj Raval. Pankaj, thank you very much for joining us today. Pankaj, we were having a conversation before this whole thing started, and you were telling us about how you came up with your law firm's name, the fact that you can play around with the Carbon Law Group in so many different aspects and the different ways that you're going to be working with it, and also how you work with many different types of businesses and many different kinds of law, or the different aspects of law that are around business law. So I'm just curious, did you always have like a business mindset or lawyer mindset somewhere in the middle? Because you don't strike me as someone that wants to litigate 24/7. You strike me as someone that's wants to have an organization that maybe does litigation or maybe does some lawyer work, but you owning it more than being the face of it. I don't know if I'm anywhere near or if I'm making sense.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And I mean, I think there's a lot of ways to answer that. For me, starting this firm, I originally had planned to go to do a JD MBA program. I'm really passionate about business. It was a very difficult decision for me, whether even to go into law or business. And fundamentally, it came down to, and I'm not sure if this is the best logic, but I said, a lawyer can do what a business person can do, but a business person can't necessarily do what a lawyer can do. And that's why I said I can always leverage this degree into other areas of business. And still to this day, I have a very kind of creative background. I don't know, on my website, I talk a little bit about it, but I've been very involved in the arts, for many years. I actually learned tap dancing for 25 years, which is also a good metaphor for, legal skills, when you have to win arguments. All that creative element of me, I struggled early on saying, oh, how am I going to bring that into being a lawyer? Because it's not necessarily, people don't always associate like creativity with law. Generally people think, oh, you're a lawyer, you kind of have to look at the law, interpret it, and then also fight for your clients, advocate. And early on in my career, I did litigate, and I was a litigator, and I quickly found out that it wasn't for me. I think there's two types of lawyers generally. There's the transactional lawyers and then the litigators. And I'm glad I got that experience. It just really helped me in my transactional work. But it wasn't fulfilling to me to be fighting every day, fighting with counsel about opposing counsel about the most inane things, the most ridiculous things, procedural matters that really don't matter, but they are the law and you can pick them apart. But I said, like, what progress are we making with all this? Sure, lawyers are getting, if your goal is to get rich, there's a lot of ways to do it. Yeah, you could be, a lot of different types of lawyers. It just didn't fulfill me. It wasn't fulfilling early on. I tried personal injury, I tried bankruptcy, I tried a lot of different areas. I was luckily to get exposure in a lot of different areas. But I then early on in my career was lucky to work at MTV in law school, and from MTV I went to music law in LA, and but for me it was about, I wanted to take a chance on myself, and that's where the entrepreneurial spirit has always come in. I think, I've always been an entrepreneur, I think, at heart. Even going back to law school, I remember my buddy and I, who actually was going to join my firm later on. He and I were studying the library one day, and we went up to talk to a teacher, and he came back, and I think I came back down, and he's like, hey, there's all these books outside, brand new law books sitting outside someone's office that say trash on them. I'm like, oh wow, that's like, those are expensive books. And him and I were like, whoa, maybe we should take these and try to sell them. so we probably loaded 80 law books, like most of them still in plastic wrap, in our car. We put them on eBay and sold them for about $100 a piece. And so him and I were always entrepreneurs. I think we're always interested in it, but I think we always wanted to do something entrepreneurial. And when I became a lawyer, I worked for a firm for a little while, but I realized, like, one, I'm probably not the best employee, because I always have better ideas and better ways to do things and optimize things. And then and also I just wanted my autonomy. I wanted to be, if I want to go work out in the middle of the day, if I want to go do something, like I can do that. Like, freedom for me is more valuable than just money. And money does get you freedom in many ways, but I think you don't necessarily have to have money to have freedom. So it was that balance. And I said, I'm going to sacrifice a little bit of a paycheck now. My friends are making all this, all these big bucks, but I'm gonna go out on my own and try to build this. And it was a struggle, it was definitely a struggle. I moved to LA. It wasn't the best plan. Like, I'll tell you that right now. I don't know if I'd recommend it for everyone, but I moved to LA not knowing two people, my two cousins here in 2010, and went out on my own about a year later and built a firm from there. And today we've served probably close to 2,000 clients just by pounding the pavement, meeting people, getting out there, trying to give more than I ask in return. A lot of these concepts that I think I've built over the years by reading voraciously about self-improvement, personal development, business. I read so many different business books and also my meditation too. Like, that practice has helped me a lot too, and yoga. So it's all that, and building a kind of a balanced lifestyle that I think has really brought me to where I am today.
I can tell, like, you have pretty high standards. So it certainly is not a walk in the park, but now I know that you don't leave people alone when you start working with them.
Right.
So I'm just thinking, or even wondering, okay, you work with a team that's now 100% virtual, but you did get someone that was 100% offshore, like even from a different continent.
Right.
Did you notice anything different or any kind of struggle when trying to integrate that person to your culture, to the way that you do things? Or what was that like? What's your relationship like?
That's a good question. Yeah. I mean, I think there's always going to be a little bit of a acclimation period, with anyone that you hire. And I'm lucky because, like, the rest of my staff are really great about, bringing that person on board and making them feel welcome and doing the training. I don't do the training, but, we have a week or so of them shadowing people in the firm, learning the different learning the positions, and making sure that onboarding process is a lot more, is well done. But I think that's really important too, right? That getting the onboarding process right in the remote world is obviously much different than it is in a brick and mortar, like when someone's in the office on-site world. So we've been trying to, like, we have a checklist that we use to go through the whole onboarding process, and creating a lot of videos. And then realize it just takes time for them to get to understanding of the firm and who we are and how we operate, the mentality that we have. I have a list of, like, guiding principles, and even like there's a culture doc, I think is on my website too. It's a culture document about, like, here's kind of the ethos of the firm. I encourage everyone to check it out. It's on our About Us page. And it's about, like, okay, here's the culture that we have. And I feel like if you can build a strong culture and people can buy into that culture, then they can do anything. They can do anything for you. They can help you, in so many different ways, but I think they have to get the culture first. And that's what we really work on.
Yes. You know what? I couldn't agree with you more on that, especially when you were talking about everything that you like about leadership. So even if it's tough love, like going back to that a little bit and then touching base on this. So when you talk about tough love, I see it as I don't have to break your spirit in order to tell you the truth. And sometimes it might be difficult to hear, but you need to hear it nonetheless.
Right.
But still, I'm going to be there with you. I'm going to be coaching you. I'm going to be supporting you. Otherwise, like, you have to keep up, because I can't sugarcoat the truth, right?
Yeah.
You're doing a disservice to people if you do that.
Right.
But on the other hand, you get people that, if they are very much in line with your culture versus people who are not, you immediately find people that are either a very good fit, they know how to work with, because, hey, it's your principles, your values, your culture. Again, that's pretty much the rules that we're all agreeing on to play on the same space. And when you have someone that goes against it, that has completely different values from yours, it can even be very dangerous toward the organization. I've seen that at the lower echelons, or even at the high chain of command. It can tear down an organization. It could demoralize people in there. It could be very dangerous. So I'm wondering if you've ever had to handle one of those, and if you have, how did you?
I have. And, I wish I could tell you I handled it impeccably, but, I don't think that's always the case. I mean, I realized that, over the years, I hate firing people, and I've had to do it on several different occasions, or letting people go, and I try to do it in a way that preserves their dignity. I'm not here to, like, be a boss and be some leaders in this world saying you're fired, just like that. I try to do it with compassion. Again, this comes back to my meditation and mindfulness training. Compassion, empathy. I realize that, people's livelihoods are, it is a lot of people's livelihoods that we're talking about. So, but it's also my livelihood too. It's also my business that we're trying to build. And sometimes you're not, it's not the right fit. And I think letting them know that. And so there's been times where I've given people, much more notice. I've given them 2 months notice. And I don't know if I'd recommend that. I honestly don't think that works very well. I think you have to maybe give them a little bit of notice, maybe 2 weeks, but if you drag it out, I think it's worse for everyone. And I think as a owner, you'll pay more of a price because people are already kind of going to check out. So I think it's about like, I think 2 to 4 weeks, giving people time to maybe find that next opportunity. I will do my best to, like, honestly, if I think they're great, but maybe just not the right fit, I will call people. I will post on LinkedIn. I'll post places to say, hey, I have this great person. Would you guys be, if you're interested in, this position, please contact her or him and let me know. So I will try to like get them set up in the next position. If it's someone I really like, but I just can't, like, we just can't keep them on. So I want to do it with dignity, but I think, sometimes I feel like maybe I'm a little bit too soft when it comes to, like, I've heard the adage that says, like, hire slowly but fire quickly, and I think it is true. I think if it's not the right culture fit, it's going to be very bad for your organization to keep that person on. And I think you have to make those determinations early, rather than hoping, rather than letting it drag out. And I think culture is something that's easier to kind of spot, even though it's not as easy to define, but it's easier to spot than like specific technical skills, because technical skills, I think, can be learned in many ways. But it's like, do they have the ethos of giving? Do they have this ethos that you embody, and be clear with what your culture is? I spend a lot of time building out this culture doc and our guiding principles, and constantly update them, because it is very important. And people need to be reminded of that constantly too, with, in a company.
Before we go, because time is running out and I want to be very respectful of that, can you please let people know where they can find you and what you can do for them?
Sure. Yes. So I'm on all the social media channels. We're Carbon Law Group. You mentioned that, we have a YouTube page. Please check it out. Trying to get our views up on our videos. Working hard on those. Going to have more coming out soon. And also, I have a TikTok that's called Virtual GC, and Virtual GC is kind of the service that we've been offering more and more of lately. It's a general counsel service for a lot of businesses. We're offering kind of subscription options, but also flat rate. So we're really, my goal with the firm, and I think our goal as a team, has been, how do we eliminate friction in the legal process? How do we eliminate friction in legal services? I think there's a lot of friction in different touch points. For example, early on in my career, I worked for a lawyer that would send a PDF document, by email to someone, expect someone to print it out, scan it, and send it back. I said, this is ridiculous. We have e-sign. Why do we do it this way? And something as little as that, but can make the process so much easier for clients. And we'd always think about, okay, I come also from a product development background. It's maybe for another chat one day, where I look at everything I look at the firm as a product, as it was almost like an app. And what features are we building in? How are we making it easier? What are we taking away to make it easier for our clients? So yeah, I would say, that's kind of what we do. We provide general counsel business services for our clients. Everything from contracts to financing. If you're looking to raise money, startups, we work with tons of startups, and helping them raise funds, and also all types of contracts, terms of use, privacy policies, helping you guys navigate, disputes. If they're pre-litigation, we'll help resolve those. We recently were able to help someone to secure a $500,000 settlement for theft of trade secrets. Would have gone to trial and probably taken them 2 years and probably $200,000 in legal fees, but because of we were able to mediate it and get them a $500,000 settlement that they were really, the original offer was $150,000. So we were able to get that for them, and using our kind of creative negotiations skills. And we want to work with people who are excited to work with us. We don't accept everyone as a client. We have a high bar for ourselves. We have a high bar for the people we work with, because we want to work with people who are really making an impact, who are making a change, who really are trying to build something bigger and better than has been built before. And we love working with those kind of ambitious people. Counsel for deal makers and risk takers. It's not just a slogan. It's something we live by.
Yeah, you do love working with entrepreneurs, don't you?
We do,
I
yeah,
can
I
tell.
do. It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Well, Pankaj, thank you very much for joining us today. And guys, I guess I'll see you in the next episode of Candid Convos.